Boss Lady Conversations with Monica L.
and Coach Kaya.
Boss ladies are
Vulnerable,
authentic,
love,
hopeful,
abundant.
respected.
Boss ladies are
You.
Hey, boss ladies. If you're hearing this episode, that means you are well into the flow of 2022. You're here for a divine purpose, and we're so happy that you chose to join us today. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm your girl, Coach Kaya, boss wife, mompreneur, sister, writer, and certified transformational coach. I help women reignite their dreams, access their power, and manifest the miracles that matter. My IG handle is at I am Coach Kaya.
And hello, happy 2022. I am Monica L., boss educator, entrepreneur, self-published author, and poet. I believe all things are possible through synergy. My IG handle is at Monica L _writer. That's MONICA _WRITER. And we are beyond excited to be with you and to support wherever part of the journey you are on. We appreciate your support of Boss Lady Conversations podcast. Thank you for listening, spreading the word, and supporting this movement.
Yes, and as promised, we always want to support you and bring topics that really matter to the table, topics that will really help you in your everyday life. So I'm sure you've heard the phrase, do your work, from coaches and therapists alike. But today we are speaking directly with courage coach extraordinaire Shanita Liu about doing the work in real time and how it can actually transform your life for the better each and every day. As a fellow coach, I've worked with many clients and encouraged them to find their own system as a means of being in flow, restoring their energy, and doing so in a way that matters. But there's still something about the word work that can throw people for a loop. So, Monica L., how do you feel about that phrase, doing the work?
That's a great question. I mean, doing the work, that can be loosely defined. Does that mean that you're present in every day and that you understand that every day is a lesson? Or does that mean that you have a self-book series that you are listening to daily? What does it really mean when you say doing the work? Are you in intensive therapy and really taking this journey in a different way with different types of support systems? So it's a great question. And I think it can be defined however one chooses to define it, doing the work.
I love it. And I think that's so important because everything you said had to do with how you feel about yourself, the respect that you have for yourself on your journey, the compassion that you have for yourself. So our intention for today's show is to really help boss ladies simplify this path that can be so complicated to doing their work and also redefining that work for themselves in a loving and meaningful way. We want boss ladies to walk away from this conversation with courage to take steps forward. And that's steps to radical self-love, self-improvement, in whatever way you choose, right? And Coach Shanita, she understands this assignment quite well.
Oh, she sure does. Coach Shanita has a master's in public administration, and she's a certified professional coach who teaches people how to activate their courage. As an integrative healer and chief energy officer at Coach Shanita Incorporated, she shows people how to tune in and reconnect to their courage, power, and strength so that they can stop sacrificing themselves and start transforming into their hearts into reality. Her services include one-on-one coaching sessions and group workshops. We'll be sure to include her link, coachshanita.com/courage, so you can download her free, yes, I said free, courage activity exercise based on her recent TED Talk.
Let me tell you, people, we are starting off 2022 with the heaviest hitters, okay? We want to really bring you the real. And that's one thing I can say that Coach Shanita does so eloquently. As both a friend, a colleague, and a client, I've had the privilege of witnessing Coach Shanita's work. And we are so beyond thrilled to welcome her to our Boss Lady conversation today. Welcome, Coach Shanita.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I am so thrilled to be with you all today.
We are so glad to have you. And this is a really hot topic, especially at the top of the year when the boss ladies are ready to make changes. So let's jump right into it. If you had to give your boss lady journey a movie title, what would the title be and why?
That is a really powerful question. And when I simmered with it, I think I misinterpreted it. And I actually thought about the movie content versus the movie title. So when I think about what movie resonates with me, it's a Pixar film. It's called Coco. Came out a few years ago for any Disney Pixar fans. And this movie is so powerful because it's about a little boy who goes back to the land of the dead to learn more about his ancestors and his great great grandfather and the legacy of that. And the reason why I bring this up is because it has become very evident to me in the last going on 7 years of doing my work more intentionally that I cannot be where I am and I am not who I am if I do not acknowledge who and where I come from. So that's been a big part of my journey. That's been a big part of my work and even just a big part of the word boss, because I actually have had a few bosses who call themselves boss ladies, and I wasn't feeling these bosses. I'm not going to lie. And so I want to note that boss lady can sometimes have a different connotation depending on your experience. And so I actually went to dictionary.com and I looked up the word boss, and there were several meanings. The noun was someone who is in charge, a worker or an employee. And then there was an adjective that was about excellence and outstanding. And so I thought about that, like, how do I define even boss for me? And I realized it's being in charge of myself with excellence and being a demonstration of excellence. That's why I call myself a chief energy officer of my company. I'm not a chief executive officer, have some pretty sour connotations with that one too. But if I am being intentional about managing myself and my energy, I can then trust that the work, the output, whatever it is that I'm putting out there will get done and it will serve who it needs to serve. For anybody who hasn't seen Coco, check it out. It is a tear jerker, very deep, very loving film. And I've definitely watched it several times.
Coach Shanita, that's the perfect segue. You mentioned who you're called to serve. You mentioned first yourself, because it definitely starts with honor and respecting yourself. And then who do you feel most called to serve at this time in your life?
Myself. And I'm laughing because the public servant in me, the person I've always been, who has done community service, has worked in the nonprofit sector, who has helped youth, like the way I've always sort of an identity I've always embraced is Shanita is a public servant. I went to get a master's from a school of public service, right? And that was a badge of honor for me, and it still is. And I'm also including myself because as I was serving so many for so many decades, I was not serving myself. I was run down, I was burned out. And I think a lot of the time we think we can get away with running on empty because the work still continues to get done and the kids still get to get what they get and the boss gets what they get and the family gets what everybody's getting, right? And as long as you've got something, even if it's 1%, it's fine, but it's not fine. It's not fine. And it seeps, it's like poison. It seeps into everything. It shows up in different ways, and it may not show up immediately, but it will show up in the way that you talk to your kids. It's going to show up in the way that you're in relationship with your partner or your spouse. And that neglecting of yourself and your time and your energy and your aura and all of that, it will show up and it will be nasty. It will be ugly. And you'll think that maybe a 1 week vacation, like even me, I was trifling. I was like, oh, it's holiday break. By the end of this Christmas week, I'll be fine. I'll be ready to go. Wrong. I had to extend my out of office message another week because the idea of coming back to work to face the world Monday morning was too anxiety inducing. And the old me would have pushed through and have been like, all right, Shanita, just roll up your sleeves. You just got to do what you got to do. And now the 2022 me is like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. And if I was working for an institution, which I did for many years before I started working for myself, you better believe I would have had played that floating holiday card. So that PTO would have been taken somehow. Somehow. If I had to call in sick, make up a story, make up 2 stories, I would have done it, because it is not in my best mental health interest to show up tomorrow for everybody else. For what? It's going to have a cost, and the cost is going to be me. And so when I say that, like, who do I serve? I definitely serve women of color and moms and girls. I serve anyone who's willing to roll up their sleeves and call in their courage to do what it is that they have to do. But like, I can't even believe I'm saying this publicly, but like, I have to serve myself first. And I am working so hard on serving myself now. And it's making a difference. I'm happier. I'm still tired, but I'm happier. And I am not going to walk into this first week of January filled with anxiety, filled with fear, and filled with panic. I'm not doing it. So I won't.
I love that. Oh my gosh. We heard you. We heard you and we felt you. And I like that because I would change my mindset about tomorrow as well. Anyway, even though
it just freed everyone.
Right.
I think
yes.
any boss lady listening has been freed. Okay?
Right. Yourself first, serving yourself first, and that is a great segue into our next question. So what does it mean to you, besides what you've already eloquently said, to do the work? I mean, you're a wife, a mom of 3, you're a coach, you're an entrepreneur, business owner. I mean, so what does that mean for you personally to do the work?
The first word that comes to mind is healing. It's healing. It's healing me. It's, for me and where I come from, it's actually healing some ancestral patterns. And it's like, I had to look this word up too in the dictionary. And the word healing means like to become healthy. So it's like, I want that. And becoming healthy doesn't mean drinking green juice and trying to like create some unreasonable 25-pound loss for a New Year's resolution. That stuff is actually self-sabotage, if you ask me, because there's a lot more pre-work involved before you can achieve some of those goals. But it's about like being healthy, like mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Physically is important too, but I think for me, if I am not doing my work and I'm not healing up my stuff, doesn't mean I'm broken. It just means that today I feel tired. What is the work? What's the healing that I can do to help me feel a little bit more energized in the next hour that I have to knock out these 5 emails? It's really simple. I think a lot of the time we think about doing our work and healing as like, go run off to the mountains and kumbaya at some retreat with people you don't know. Please don't do that during this global pandemic, y'all, or at least be mindful. Just be cautious out there. But it's all here. It's all right here. It's all right before us. And if we're just taking those moments to, you ladies talk about it all the time, right? To take the deep breaths, to take the morning ritual, to take those moments of the day and heal yourself, heal your tired, heal your anger, whatever is going on for you, then that means you're doing your work. And that means that you are going to be healthier for everybody else around you.
Well, Shanita, what would you say is the biggest impact that doing your work has had on you to date?
It lets me know that I am enough, because I've spent most of my life living with the notion that I am not enough. I'll never be enough. And that mindset and the set of behaviors that go with that have seeped into all the ways in which I showed up as a perfectionist, an overachieving, box checking, just burning out constantly, people pleasing person who wasn't even willing to look at herself and her stuff. And so that I am enough piece, which is something I still have to remind myself of day in and day out, is what I can come to for the foundational knowing that I need to keep going.
Wow. That was deep and very profound and relatable. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Because I do feel like as women, all women, universal, a lot of times we don't feel like we are enough because we try to be so much, because a lot of times we have to be so much, whether we're in the workforce, at home, whether we're caring for, your elder parent, or if you're caring for your children, your husband, your significant other. It's a lot trying to maintain the house, have a meal. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I think that's so significant that we all remember that we are enough and we're all doing the best we can, and that not to do comparisons either, because you don't know what's going on in someone else's household or lifestyle. Just know that we're all doing the best that we can, and we set our intentions to do so. So, wow. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being so open. I know our boss ladies are loving every moment of this and feeling your sincerity and vibrations. So, how would you encourage a boss lady to turn off, who gets turned off by this phrase, like doing the work? Because sometimes people just like, it just doesn't have the positivity that you have already articulated. So how would you help them in understanding doing the work is a positive thing for their self-fulfillment?
Yeah, that's a great point, because you're right. It feels very like drudgery. It just doesn't feel pleasant. And people go into that with dread. And that's why they kind of fall off the tracks when they kind of embark on the process and then realize, ooh, this ain't easy. And so it can feel easier and be easier if you just do a simple reframe. The two things here in our universe that have the highest vibration are love and joy. So if you were to reframe doing the work to thinking about your healing or your work in while leaning into love and joy, then it automatically changes the vibration of the words themselves and what you're about to step into. If I know I'm about to do something joyful, something that fills me up with love, that helps me being a really loving person and help me love on the people that matter the most to me or who I serve personally, professionally, then it will just come a little easier. It won't feel so dreadful. And I know I'll be more motivated to carve out times in my day to allow for it, or at least to try it out.
I wanted to ask you, Coach Shanita, how did you know when the work was working? Like, when did you see that shift where you were like, oh my goodness, this is working. Something is changing. Something is happening.
That is a phenomenal question. And it takes other human beings around me to reflect back to me. So Coach Kaya and I know each other because I reached out to her in the year where I had every transition under the sun, left the job, got pregnant, purchased a house, was in a coaching certification program, didn't know how to start a business, was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that too. Up to my ears in scary transition, and reaching out to you as a coach, as a sister friend, as a healer was just one of many ways, but most important ways through which I realized that I was making baby steps, that change was happening, that I was manifesting the things that I had kept talking about and journaling about and kind of goal setting about. When another human being can say, you're doing it. Don't you see you did that? Oh my gosh, if you look back 6 months ago and see, that there is nothing else that I feel that is more powerful than that. Sure, you can have some kind of goal tracker, you can have tools and techniques, but technology, no, sorry, you need a human heart who can love on you and so kindly and gently reflect back your, I don't want to say achievements to date because that feels very like task oriented, but how far you've come. That's probably a better way to put it. Because I can't see it in myself because my not enoughness kept getting in the way, as it still continues to. There are days where I'm so hard on myself because I didn't make, because we got pizza again and the 5 emails didn't go out and the webinar didn't get filmed and this and that. And then I've got someone like Kaya texting me like, you are a rock star. Your kids are fed. Like, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. yes, there were wins today and I completely forgot. And so those small victories and those big victories, they compound. And when you can look back, you can go, yeah, the work has been done is and it will continue. It's ongoing.
So powerful. And you put it in a beautiful bow because that is really the point of Boss Lady Conversations.
Yes,
Thank you.
support. I heard support. I heard support and I heard quieting that negative voice that we don't need to hear, but also being intentional about it because you have to be intentional to know that that's not defining you and that we all are still here. Like you say, the kids got a meal. That's what I heard. They are not hungry. They may have pizza that may not have been what you wanted them to have, but they are fed and they are happy because they are eating. Yes. So that definitely leads right into a good segue. The next question is, what are 3 tips that you would like to share to other boss ladies who want to boss up and be more intentional about when it's coming to doing their work? Because we know you shared your personal ones, but what would be 3 tips you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah. Well, there's one transformational question that we learned in our coaching certification program. And that question is, what do you need? Starting with that question, what do you need, is usually the very first step A. Step 1A. Like start there because if you can tune in and pause and just ask yourself, what do you need? You'll immediately be able to respond. I need rest. I need adventure. I need peace. I need serenity. I need quiet, whatever it is you need. And so, kind of reflecting on that. And then the second tip would be sort of the follow up, then calling in your courage to meet that need because you might know you need rest. But if there are 50 things that you have to get done before the end of the day and you've got all of these demands and deadlines and deliverables, it's going to be really difficult to be like, yeah, let me rest right now. No, right? It just doesn't work like that. That's not the reality that we live in. And so when you can call in your courage, because they're underneath that need. So say it's rest, I need to rest, but you're not going to rest because there is the fear of fill in the blank, fear of missing out, fear of off your boss, fear of disappointing your colleagues, fear of looking like a fool because you didn't get that thing in that day because you promised somebody you were going to send it, right? And so there is always a fear underneath the reason why you're not doing something. And so then calling in your courage allows you to tune into that dynamic energy inside of you that'll let you know whether or not it's okay. So maybe I need rest, but I'm really scared to do that. So what do? I might call in my courage, who happens to look like a warrior goddess riding a tiger. And so when you tell them my free audio, you'll understand. But she'll show up and she'll be like, all right, so how about you work the rest of this hour and at 4 o'clock, you close your computer and you lie down on the ground for 5 minutes. Like it's so simple. Like I can't think of that for myself because my fear is too strong. So calling in my courage allows me to think through or receive insight on how I meet my need. And then that leads to tip number 3, which is so meet it, right? I've asked myself what I need. I'm calling in my courage to figure out the how and if it's possible. And then the third thing is like, do it. Do it. Okay. I'll throw myself on the bedroom carpet for 5 minutes if that's what's going to help me get to the kitchen to go make dinner, right? And then like just rinse and repeat that cycle. And hopefully, like baby step by baby step, you'll be able to do your work.
Oh, we so appreciate you dropping these gems for our listeners. Is there anything else that you kind of want to leave the boss ladies with? Anything as we kind of wrap up and think about this beautiful 2022 year ahead?
Yes. Be patient with yourself. Monica, you talked about comparing ourselves, and I will go down Compare Despair Avenue every single week because I saw some other boss lady doing something amazing on social media. But then for some reason, it'll trigger my not enoughness. And then I'll go into this little spiral about, oh no, shoot, maybe I should be doing that too. or I didn't do that fast enough, or I'm still in progress. Why is it taking me so long? There must be something wrong with me if it's taking me twice as long to do that. Or, she's got more resources than I do. So like now then I start getting jealous. And it's like, oh, she can do all those things. Well, I don't have a team to help. And so I'm naming those specific examples because these are the things that we don't talk about. Those are the things that we go through that go through our heads within like 20 seconds. It just happens so quickly. And so being patient with yourself requires you to give yourself grace and to let yourself know that, hey, like I'm in my lane, I'm doing my thing. I'm doing what works for me, for my healing, for my work, for my whatever it is you call it. And it's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It has to happen if I am applying the tools, the whatever it is, right? If I am doing the work and setting those intentions, like you said, Monica. And so God gave me a lot of gifts. God did not give me patience. So that is a virtue that I have been working on for over 3 decades and will continue for the rest of my life. So for anyone who's impatient out there, trust me when I say, like, I don't say that easily. That is a very difficult thing to do, to be patient. But I also realize that by being patient, I'm able to do things right versus right now. And that has made a difference in the way I show up as a coach, as a mom, as a public servant. And I don't care now. I'm finally at a place where I don't care if it takes me 3 years to do that thing. I'm going to do that thing and I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it thoroughly. I'm going to come back to the meaning that I shared earlier, which is as a boss lady, I'm going to do it with excellence. This is going to be something that I can look back on and be so damn proud of myself and not have any regrets, because we live in a culture, especially a digital culture, where everything happens like that yesterday. And so I'm not going to, I'm making a choice to not subscribe to that anymore. By unsubscribing to that alone helps me kind of move the needle on Shanita's patience level. If that makes sense.
It all makes sense. And I'm so glad you said that, because I also feel the same way. I definitely don't have patience. So there's a lot of things I've been praying for, and that is still top of the list. And patience with myself, but more importantly, patience with others. Because I'm like, really? Does it take that long to back the car out? Really? What's happening? Like, really? It's a parking stall. Just pull in it. Just please, I get to go, So yes, especially when you add in, you don't have patience, and if you get anxiety driven, like that could just add up to so much. But I'm glad that you said that, because I feel like that stems from our workplace. Like you said, when you have emails and people want, automatic response, especially if you're dealing with a certain generation. And this is no slight to any generation, but like you said, they want it automatic. If they send something, they want it back. No time to breathe, research, or anything. But like you say, if we're protecting our brand, and each of us has a brand. And so with that, we want to make sure when it goes out, that is reflective of our brand and our own high standards. So I'm glad that you said that. Everyone, again, has different things going on. So different time restrictions, different time allotted to do things. Some people actually believe in sleep. Some people don't. So yes, all of that feeds into it. But I like what you said, like, I'm going to give myself 3 years to do something. I don't think we ever hear people say anything like that. Everybody's trying to rush every single process. If you have a vision tonight, they want to implement it in the morning. They're like, let's do it. And so I'm glad you said that. And I think that definitely contributes to our health and well-being by taking that pressure off of ourselves. So
and
with that,
about the blessing of like what happens when you wait, because something in you has the opportunity to deepen. And what you put out there is so much more magical and so much more full of your spirit and your energy, because you waited that extra time and you let life flow through you that extended time. It's so special. I really appreciate that gem.
I love that you both said what you said, because not only am I more enriched from the work that I put out because I did quality over quantity or over speed, but those that the work is landing with, so maybe it's a a book, a podcast, whatever that output is, that the person who is consuming it and receiving it is also that much more enriched as well. And another gift that comes from that is that the best way to put it is through a story that I had a former boss who was wonderful, but I was doing too much. And I'd been through some postpartum stuff with my second child, and I was just doing too much. And I didn't even think it was showing because I was getting the work done. I was sending the emails, I was sending the Word docs, I was doing everything. I thought I was being an all-star employee. And one thing, and then I was about to take a little sabbatical or something like that, and then she shared with me, my hope is that during this time off, you'll get some rest, like really get some rest, because the energy that I felt from you in these last few months was frantic. And I just stopped. That stopped me in my tracks because I was what I thought a high performer. Like, and I wore that like like gold stars on the chart. And it turns out that my energy was showing up. I was coming off frantic. And even though I was frantic at home, it was like, well, you can't see my frantic behind the computer screen. You can't see it in my spell check document. You can't see it in, my very nicely written email, or, submitted a work plan or whatever it is that I had to submit that month. And the fact that she picked up on my frantic energy just made me realize I don't ever want to come off like that again. I don't ever want to come off like that again. And she wasn't being mean or cruel by saying it. She was just giving me constructive feedback. And since then, I have made a note to self, like, do you really want to rush through that email, or do you want to draft it and come back to it in the morning when you're less frantic?
Right.
So I just offer that little story as a follow-up because it also goes to show that when you do things rush or trying to put it together overnight, that the people who are consuming it will see. They will see. They will feel. They will hear. They will sense. People are not stupid. They will know when, and again, right, there's also this caveat, because then if you are a perfectionist, there's also going to be this part of you that maybe never wants to get the thing done because you're still trying to like cross all your T's and dot all your I's. So there's that extreme of the spectrum. I've been on both. But all of that to say, it's like giving yourself the time helps you not come off frantic or like you're just putting it out there just to put it out there.
I mean, again, dropping gems like Coach Kaya said, we so much appreciate you. I think the thing I heard was that I think we sometimes feel like we have to wear a mask, especially outside. And we think we are masking our behaviors or our thoughts. But the people who truly knew us, they know what we really feel. Because I know that you just saw that you was getting the work done so that there was no problem, but you didn't know the energy that she felt or how she picked up on how you were feeling as you were doing the work. And I think that's something that we don't think about. We just check off the box. It's done. You don't got to assess my energy behind it. It's just, did you get your assignment? Okay. Because all of this is too much, right? Just be glad you got it. Okay. But she took the time to say that I care about you, because that's what I heard. And that she understood, and please get some rest, some real rest. And speaking about rest, that goes back to the beginning of our conversation where we have a vacation and then we need a vacation from the vacation, because it takes so long for us just to tune ourselves down and not be like Pavlov's dog, just every bell and whistle that's going off, reacting to it, to really calm ourselves down. And so that's important. And that goes back to patience, learning patience with ourselves, then with others. So can you share a boss lady or two who currently inspires you to take your work to the next stratosphere?
Yeah, I love this question. I mean, they're kind of like the shot callers, like Michelle Obama, Oprah, Yanla, Brene Brown. There are like the sort of top thought leaders, like the powerful women that we immediately think of. But then when I think about my day to day, right? Because it's not like I see Oprah in my backyard. It's not like I see Michelle down the street when I'm going to get groceries. We think we're close to them because we consume their content. So it's like they're speaking right to us, or we're reading their books or whatever it is. But I look at my older sister and my older cousins, and I look at the human beings in my support system, my friends. I look at them going, wow, they're doing amazing things. And it's so encouraging because here I am on ground level, and here we all are together, right? We're not competing with each other. We're all just honoring ourselves and honoring our work and honoring our flow and our mission, our purpose here. And so I think it's just very inspiring to literally look to my left and look to my right. In this case, we're all isolated, so look on my phone, you know, and see, wow, okay, they're doing it too. Clearly, if she can do it, I can do it too. Having those exemplars, having those role models is really, really important.
I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So that's our show for today, but we have some recaps for the boss ladies. Number one, learn to serve yourself first. Honoring and respecting yourself means not doing anything you don't want to do. Number two, healing is an everyday decision. It's simple when you think about it. What do you need today? Take those moments, the breaths, the rituals, whatever is going on for you. Number three, you are enough. If the phrase work doesn't work for you, reframe it by focusing on love and joy. Lean into that vibration and motivation. Number four, ask yourself the big questions. Start with understanding what you need. Number five, call in your courage. Fear is always just underneath the surface. Turn into that dynamic energy inside of you. And number six, do it. Honor that action. Rinse and repeat. Boss Lady Shanita. Oh my goodness. So much here. We could go on and on and on and on and on. We thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, such an honor. And boss ladies, please be sure to follow Coach Shanita on IG at Coach Shanita. And remember, you do not have to do the work alone. We'll be right by your side doing the work with you. Thank you so much.
If you haven't already done so, please follow us on Spotify and iHeartRadio.
And you'll be notified whenever we post a new Boss Lady Conversation episode.
You are who you say you are.
You're destined for great things. Your life matters each and every day.
Now go get your blessings, boss ladies.